Hello, my name is SAZETU. I'm a living entertainment variety podcast program. I was created and hosted by two old friends, Spencer and Zach. They talk about whatever they want. Welcome.
Let's talk. We wanna welcome you to SAZETU. Let's talk. The show's alive because of SAZETU.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the delicious spirits they import to the great state of Maine and the cocktails you can make with them at mainspirits.com or by downloading their app for your smartphone or visiting them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration by State Theater Portland. Visit statetheaterportland.com for an up-to-date schedule of virtual events and upcoming announcements as we get closer to normalcy. And Sun Tiki Studios, a top-notch rehearsal and performance facility located on Forest Avenue in Portland, Maine. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.
This is Happy Hour, brought to you by Maine Spirits. Who are Maine Spirits, you might be asking, and I will say they bring all the liquors and liqueurs into the great state of Maine, so thanks, Maine Spirits. On this segment, I endeavor to show you how to make delicious cocktails in the comfort of your own home, and this week is no exception. We have been working with Cynar, C-Y-N-A-R, Cynar, which is a liqueur made primarily from artichoke. It's in the same family, however, as your Campari and your Aperol. It is somewhat interchangeable within that world. So this week I'm going to show you how to make a Black Manhattan. So let's get our tools together. We'll need a shaker, a strainer, a bar spoon, and a coupe glass. For ingredients, rye whiskey, Cynar, Angostura bitters, Regan's orange bitters, and a Luxardo cherry. Let's build this drink. In a shaker full of ice, add 2 ounces of rye whiskey, 1 ounce of Cynar, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, and 2 dashes of Regan's orange bitters. Now, stir until cold and strain into a coupe glass and then garnish with a Luxardo cherry. Have you had a Luxardo cherry? My God, they are so good. They make me want to buy a whole pint of ice cream just to put them on top. They're expensive, but I promise you, they are worth it. So let's strain this into the coupe glass and take a sip. It's got the rye whiskey, which is like forward and tart, and it's got the Cynar, which makes up for the sweetness, which you would normally get from vermouth, and then the combination of bitters really ties this whole drink together. It's a delicious drink. I encourage you to try it. This has been Happy Hour, brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can learn more about this drink and many other drinks at mainspirits.com. You can download their app for your smartphone, which is a very smart move, because it's a wealth of information. And as always, we encourage you, we implore you to drink deliciously and responsibly.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your...
Hey everyone, guess who has a new album out?
Berlin, Spandau Ballet.
Nice Easter egg. No, it's you, ZachJones, everybody.
What?
Yeah, the Z in Zoolander.
Yeah, that's right. The one and the same.
Yes, same. So the new album, Be Nice, is now in stores on vinyl. It has come out on the streamers prior to now. And CDs, did you have CDs in store?
I did. CDs and streaming came out in December, and vinyl today as we're recording it, but I guess Friday before this album is released, or this podcast is released.
Right. So in stores now.
In stores now. That's the way we do it.
Vinyl is in stores now. I don't know about you, but I either listen to things on the streamies or I listen to records.
Same. Records at home, streamies in the headphones when I'm walking around and doing stuff.
I want my streamsies for funsies walksies, though.
That's right.
I would bring my record player with me when I go out, but it's just, they skip.
Yeah. You try jogging with your turntable
not
attached to your wrist or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I have a record-sized Discman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
weighs
even
about
the
45 pounds.
Discman you couldn't really jog with.
Not really.
Remember they tried to make the skip-proof Discman, and it was like, armored vehicle
Yep.
sized.
I do. I mean, yes, you could drive over it with an SUV, but still your CD would skip.
Yeah.
But it was better.
It was better.
CDs, for me, I never had a love for CDs, except that they contained music that I like. It sounded good. But as like a medium, I'm like, meh.
Yeah, same. I mean, I spent a lot of time and a lot of money building up a CD collection when I was younger, and I still have almost all of them. But yeah, they don't have the same. I don't know. You don't feel that attachment to them the way you do to a record.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Or very, very seldomly would you. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember this when you and I were living together back in the day, the early aughts.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Turn of the century. And I moved out to Portland, Oregon because we were traveling so much. Like, didn't really matter where I lived that much. Although that was my mentality going into it. I realized kind of 3/4 of the way through it that was not necessarily the case. But that was also the same time that Apple like had the iBooks and you could put CDs in and rip them to your iTunes. So like I remember sitting there for days just importing all of my CDs, and then I took them to Bull Moose and sold them. And this was back at a time when CDs like still had value,
Yep.
or more value than they do now. And that's like the one time I've really gone into like Bull Moose and been like, I walked out with some serious moolah, which sadly was probably only,
Yeah, probably
10% of what
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say,
actually spent.
like $400 for $10,000 worth of CDs.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
traded in.
Yeah, I mean, trade-in value. That's how she goes.
That's how she goes.
So
As soon as you drive it off the lot, you've depreciation sets in.
the second the wheels leave the lot, it's worth half what you paid for it. So yeah, your new album is not entirely new because it is a collection of a bunch of singles. Like you've been putting out singles and B-sides like it's 1973 over there.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like every time you put out a single, it felt like a new 45 was coming out for me.
It actually packaged all of the CDs of the singles as 45s, basically.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Did you issue physical copies of all those CDs, of all those singles?
I did. I did a limited run of all of them, and yeah, they are nice little accompaniments for the completists, I guess. But I also put bonus stuff on the CD singles. Like they have demos, and one of them I even did like a making of the song podcast type thing that's on it. So, yeah, there's a little extra content for people that care about that stuff is on each of the individual singles, but the songs are now all compiled onto the album.
Right. So this is akin to, say, the Beatles' Hey Jude.
Yeah, or a Yesterday and Today.
Right. Butcher cover?
Yeah, but cheaper and easier to find.
Yep, and not as gross. The Butcher cover's gross.
It is pretty gross.
That was like the first time the Beatles were outwardly, like, rebelliously gross.
Yeah. I mean, for all the levels of whatever quality control and improvement or whatever improvement that those things probably needed to go through, I don't know who had the final say, if it was them or what, but it's funny that actually made it to store shelves.
It is. And if you don't know what we're talking about, the Beatles were on Parlophone in the UK and on Capitol Records over here. And Capitol would keep chopping their records up and making different albums out of them, different orders. I remember the first, because I grew up on the Parlophone ones because that's what the CDs were when they came out. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time, like pretty much everything prior to Sgt. Pepper was subject to really severe change. And like songs that weren't on that album that were on other albums would be on. It was just really weird. So the first time I heard the American version of Rubber Soul, I was like, what? Like looking at it, they put the wrong, what is this?
I think they did so many non-album singles that I think in the U.S. they were like, put the singles on the album.
Right. Yeah, that too. Yeah. That too. So they grew so tired of that that they did the Butcher cover, which was their visual flipping of the bird to Capitol Records for basically butchering their albums. And it featured them in butcher coats, covered in like hunks of meat and like doll parts.
It's really twisted.
I know, and they were like all still smiling though, like, "Ha, this is wonderful."
George in particular has like a really maniacal smile or look on his face.
Yeah, and so those were quickly recalled due to complaint, and now the Butcher covers have a very high value. In fact, a lot of them they took and stickered over with the new cover. Mm-hmm. So if you're lucky, you find one, you can, even though it doesn't have like that value, you can steam the old sticker off and have a Butcher cover. So,
so
yeah, do you have a Butcher cover on yours, or?
I don't, only in my mind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, one thing I like about this album, I mean, I would say this would go for probably most of us who are, writers and whatnot. You make an album, you're kind of like you're in like a headspace, and the songs generally kind of live in that, like that space that the project was born in, or whatever, for the most part. Because I feel I'm saying that about your records, because as a listener, they all have like their own kind of vibe. And this album, where it is a collection of singles, kind of jumps around a lot, which I like, because so to me it sounds more like a Spotify station that I really like.
I like that.
Yeah, based upon like what I like to listen to, because you run the gamut here from, and I'm using, all of these are meant as compliments, not, it's not that it's derivative. It's just that I feel like you construct. It's almost like a movie homage to a sound or an era. Like you just kind of live in a space. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, it seems fair.
Like you'll jump around from like Turtles Town, like that 60s pop, and there's a lot of like Brian Wilson-esque arrangements vocally, but it's also kind of the Fifth Dimension, just vocal pop, and I don't know. There's Buddy Holly vibes in there. At one point, where it's just straight up California country. So I mean, and these are all styles of music that speak to me personally, because I love all this. I love all the same shit you love. So, and I also love the noise you make. So it's nice to hear what is basically like a hits album from you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also going to make a note of what you just said, the noise you make, because that sounds like an album title.
There you go. So when you record, because you can record yourself, you're an engineer also.
Yeah, I mean, I've never called myself an engineer before, but I do record myself, and so I guess.
Did you record any of the songs on this album?
I recorded all of them.
Then you are an engineer. Even the one, there's one that has live drums, the Jim and Jane.
Yeah, and also I'll Bet He's Nice.
Yep.
Those are both Chris Sweet play drums on those.
Really?
Yep.
I did not see that coming. Well, let's just go track for track here.
Sure.
And kind of pull them apart. Sound good?
Sounds great.
So here's a little bit. It does sound great. Here's a little bit of the opening track, title track, Be Nice.
It's cold and it feels like winter. He thinks of the gifts to know they don't mean a thing. You lied, then you tried to tell her. Can't fly with a broken propeller. Now the cold begins to sting. Why must they fight almost every night? It's so strong, the feelings they share. Why can't they show that they care? Why can't they be nice to each other? Why can't they just be nice?
I mean, a good message for now.
Well, believe it or not, it was inspired by Now.
No shit.
I mean, it was actually
go ahead.
a few years ago that I wrote it, but yeah, it was just, days of reading the news and reading about just this person said that, and these hate crimes are happening and these things are going on, and I was just like, why can't we just be nice to each other? So,
I feel like Now started like 5 or 6 years ago.
yeah.
You know. So that tune, at the beginning, I get like a very like Turtles vibe off that, in a great way. Like, but it's not just the Turtles. Like the Kinks would use that. Penny Lane has that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But then it just immediately, I don't know. It's framed within something that makes me very comfortable, and then immediately just becomes its own thing.
Nice.
Which is great. I also like, Tarantino does that. Like, he does straight up like homages to his influences.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because I think about that a lot, because I tend to wear my influences right on my sleeve, but also grab from a million different places. And yeah, I've thought about that in the thinking of Tarantino as a comparison before, because he is somebody who's not shy about just, playing straight up homage.
He puts it right out there.
Puts it right out there. But also,
Right out there.
by doing so and mixing so many different influences and styles, kind of creates his own thing. Like, a Tarantino film, immediately, but sometimes you can also look at it and be like, I know exactly where he got that idea from.
Yeah, sometimes it's imagery like lifted directly out of another film. I mean, it's even dialogue sometimes, or plots, scenes. And I think most creative people do that. You in emulating your influences, you end up creating your own sound. I think. So, yeah, the Be Nice lives in a really great space for me. It's where I like to live.
Well, thank
And
you.
then the next tune I want to just jump right into, because
sure.
this. No, I'm sorry. I had my notes wrong.
Okay.
The next tune lives in an also friendly space for me, and it's called "I'll Bet He's Nice," which is about the next fella, I think.
Also, I'll Bet He's Nice. So, first of all, the first 4 songs in this record are were not released as singles. These are exclusive to this album. And I'll Bet He's Nice is actually a cover song.
Really? By whom?
It's the Beach Boys.
Well, that would explain. I've never heard that Beach Boys song, and I was like, man, he's really got his Wilson down.
Yeah, that's because it was written by Brian Wilson.
Oh, shit.
But actually, maybe if you want to play a section of the song, and then I'll give you a little bit more background on it, and then what my approach to it was.
Yeah, sure. Here we go. I'll bet he's nice.
I'll bet he's twice as nice as me, and it makes me cry, 'cause I remember you and I. Please don't tell me if it's true, because I'm still in love with you, pretty darling. You, my pretty darling.
That's the part where I was like, wow, like that is like you really found that that vein that Brian Wilson mines melodically mines so perfectly. So yeah. So first of all, I feel vindicated and like a fool at the same time that I didn't know that was a Brian Wilson song, a Beach Boys song.
Well, it's a super deep cut. So the Beach Boys did a record in 1977 called Beach Boys Love You. And it's almost like the McCartney 2 of the Beach Boys catalog.
Ooh.
Basically, Brian Wilson checked out for a lot of the early 70s.
Right.
And they still, he had so many songs, they still included a lot of Brian Wilson songs on it, but he wasn't as involved in the production as much in some of the early 70s stuff. And he would kind of be in and out of the studio. But he had a little bit of a recovery toward the end of the 70s. I mean, he had another relapse, but they had this whole campaign where they're like, Brian's back, Brian's involved, and he was going to produce this record. And he kind of just went a little bit mad scientist on this Love You album, and to the point where initially they were thinking about just making it a Brian Wilson album. And it's a lot of synthesizers and just like out there lyrical content. And his voice was just kind of damaged at the time, so he just had this gruff sounding voice.
Wow.
And he ended up kind of actually relapsing a little bit before they finished the record. So Carl and Dennis kind of took control of finishing the album. But it's a very divisive album amongst Beach Boys fans. It's like one of those love it or hate it kind of albums. But that song, I'll Bet He's Nice, is on it, and it sounds absolutely nothing like my version of it. It almost sounds like, video game music or something with the synthesizers he's using. And I think Dennis sings most of the lead on it, and his voice at that point was also pretty shot. But I came across a demo of it on YouTube, and it's just Brian Wilson at a piano playing it, and you can hear the guys around him reacting to it in real time. It's like it must have been the first time he played it to them, because he gets to the bridge and they're like, ooh, ah, ooh. Mm-hmm. But just hearing his voice in the piano, I could hear the rest of the arrangement in my head of what it may have sounded like had it been recorded in 1966 instead of 1977.
A normal Beach Boys.
Yeah.
So this is you basically finishing the movie for him.
Yeah, or at least like going back in time with it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just tried to imagine what that song would have sounded like had it been on Pet Sounds instead of Love You.
Damn. Well, yeah, that's the vibe I get. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, too, I am listening. My initial listens. I only just got your vinyl just now because it's only just now available. But I was listening just streaming, so I didn't have the notes in front of me.
That's right.
Wow, that's great. Well, okay, so this next one is the one where I think that you lost your mind a little bit. This is called Jim and Jane. And I want to just play it for a second, and then we're going to talk about what's wrong.
Great.
Here we go.
Jane stares into her empty room.
All right, what the fuck? It's the Who, and then right into the smoothness. Like, I love a lot of songs that do that. That just go places. I mean, a lot of my favorite, like prog rock bands, Procol Harum, Supertramp, will do that, obviously, and just McCartney is even like prog pop in his own way with a lot of the stuff off like Band on the Run or the B-side to Abbey Road, stuff like that. There's also that Stevie Wonder song. I think with Jeff Beck is on guitar. But yeah, so just like it goes places. Like we're gonna do this freak out here. So that's like you come out of the gate, guns blazing, and then you kind of return to it. You bounce back and forth between that straight rock time into swung pop, Bacharachville, and then you go into straight time at that same tempo. How did you come to how did these appear as a single thought in your brain?
So, I was just thinking of another example of it. One that we've laughed at together is "Go All the Way" by Raspberries.
Yeah,
where it comes out of the gate with like almost like a Led Zeppelin kind of thing.
Down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just goes right into kind of Croonsville. But this song started with I woke up one morning hungover, and it was like 100 degrees. I was in LA and living in an upstairs apartment, and it was just like, got out of bed and made some coffee, and then I was like, okay, what do I have to eat? And just opened the fridge, and it was like empty fridge with nothing but like Budweiser and like cold cuts.
Yep.
And so I just started kind of thinking about, that there's a line that says, refrigerator confirms his fear. There's nothing but cold cuts and cold beer.
Yep.
And then just like being in the heat and being hungover, and started just thinking about the kind of chaotic, I don't know, like night before aspect, and then kind of coming down the next day. And then also, imagining someone else on the other side of that spectrum from, out there in the world. And so those kind of chaotic rock parts kind of became, I guess, symbolizing the craziness of the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Because it starts out with Jane waking up hungover as well, and kind of talk about the craziness, and then it goes back, goes through the full form, goes back into that kind of rock part, and then the next verse is Jim waking up to the alarm. So it's like, that's like either it's just supposed to be like a musical representation of like whatever craziness happened the night before, or whatever they were dreaming about, and then once it goes into swingy McCartneyville, it's kind of the waking hours.
Yeah, the melancholy realization of reality.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I when I listened to that, my first thought was, man, I gotta do more of that. Just going to different. I don't know. My brain doesn't go there very often. Mm-hmm. So
it's weird. That's one of those things that I can do without even really thinking about it once I'm in the creative mode. Mm-hmm. But like now, like I haven't recorded anything or written anything in weeks, and the thought of trying to do something like that is almost overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But when it's happening, it just kind of comes out.
Are you in a bit of a dry spell right now?
Only dry on motivation. Mm-hmm. I've got songs and ideas. I've just been having a hard time pushing myself to get them out or get them done.
Because it's Blur's Day?
Yeah, every day is Blur's Day.
February 31st?
Yep.
Yeah. Forever you February.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just say Wenuary. Blur's Day, Wenuary 32nd. Next tune, I'm gonna call this Every Day by Buddy Holly, the lap percussion.
Yep.
Is that where you started?
It's actually not right where I started. I obviously did get there, but that was a song that my licensing administrators reached out to me at one point, and they're like, we're trying to do a pitch for Valentine's Day, and it's a coffee ad. And so the first thing I thought of was Best Part of Waking Up.
Oh, yeah.
But then also putting that into like a Valentine's Day package. Mm-hmm. So I basically wrote a love letter to coffee. And I did not get that placement, but enjoyed the song. I mean, part of the simple arrangement, too, is just trying to get it out, get it finished,
right,
and get it done as quickly as I could so they could have it to pitch it.
Well, it doesn't strike me as simple in that it's unfinished, because there's a string arrangement aspect to it.
Yeah, the string arrangement came after the pitch, though. It was basically, I wrote it real quick for the pitch, didn't get it, and then was just sitting on the song, and was like, I really like that. It needs a string arrangement. And then I called it done after that.
I meant to call you the other day because my wife and I woke up, and it was like a lazy morning. We didn't have to be anywhere, So we're just like lounging about, and then it became like, let's make some coffee. And she sang the Folgers song that you just referenced.
Yeah.
But she said, the best part of waking up with Folgers in your cup. I don't think she meant to. Yeah. And it just changed everything. It's like, so then I went down this is where I wanted to call you. It's like this, like the writer's meeting. Like originally the Folgers song was like really long. The best part of waking up with Folgers in your cup is that and then you just gotta tell this story. And then finally somebody was just like, why don't we just say, is Folgers in your cup? And we'll just
call it good there.
Call it good there. All right, here's a clip from the best thing to happen.
Dear you, it's me. I'm writing you this letter 'cause my friends tell me if I love her, then go get her. It's true, I may not be the most handsome or athletic. I don't speak good. Some people say that I'm pathetic. But there's one thing I know, and I want you to know it too. The best thing to happen to me is...
I didn't get selected for the commercial is because it doesn't suck. Because we live in a world where this is a jingle. Liberty, 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 liberty. Fuck. I also like that you... there's a Paul Simon nod in there because I don't speak good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what was that? Is that a Kodachrome, right? I know my lack of education never hurt me none.
Yep. That's right. I don't speak good.
I don't speak good. Yeah.
There's also, I think when I wrote Jim and Jane, I had already finished Best Thing to Happen. And somehow when I got to the end of Jim and Jane and got to the part where he sits down to write a letter, I was just like, these two songs are going to be back to back whenever they come out.
Nice.
And I don't know if nobody's said it to me that they've picked up on it if they have, but Jim and Jane, the last thing is Jim sits down to write Jane a letter. And then the next song starts out with, Dear you, it's me. I'm writing you this letter.
Well, admittedly, I did not pick up on that. Right. But I'm still, I'm a whole song person. And sometimes lyrics aren't the first thing I pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And I've heard this album a number of times, but I mean, there's still some albums that I've heard a bazillion times. I still don't know the words to them. I'm looking at you, OK Computer. It would help if Tom York didn't sing like he had a mouthful of molasses, but so leaving here this 4-song suite, we are now into back-to-back singles.
That's right.
Right. And I think that these next two are the seasonal duo.
That's right.
An homage to the holidays and then an homage to fall. I'll Be Home on Christmas Day is a song that didn't come out on Motown.
Not yet, but if they want to license it and release it, I'm ready to talk.
You should get a deal with Motown. I'll call them for you.
Thank you.
There's no reason that your record shouldn't come out on Motown.
Well, yeah.
This is the part where I have to keep talking or else you're going to feel like, oh, yeah, you're right. I am incredible.
I mean, I've been saying that about my own songs for years, but nobody listens to me.
Nobody listens. All right, here's I'll Be Home on Christmas Day.
Sitting all alone, sweet darling, in this musty motel so far away. The smell of cologne, sound of neighbors quarreling, have led my lonely thoughts astray. I've been traveling now
So I want to talk about this fucking hotel that you're staying in.
Go on.
What? You're all alone. You're either painting a picture that is a lie, because you're like, oh, I'm all alone in this gross hotel room. Yet the smell of cologne. It's like, what were you up to? What are you not telling? What are you not coming clean on? What kind of party are you having in there?
I mean, we've stayed in our share of dingy, gross hotels.
Yeah, but did this one have an hourly rate?
It does. Sure, it definitely sounds like one of those.
Yeah. I like in my brain, you're painting a picture of just like, that horrendous, whatever that horrendous party was that you were involved with the night before that kept you from coming home on Christmas, and then you're just like, I'll be home for Christmas. Even though I was a disgusting trash bag like 12 hours ago. No, yeah. So, in all seriousness, this is. I mean, we've lived this. It's the. I believe you've even made it home on Christmas Day before, haven't you?
I mean, I'm usually home before Christmas. I think there was a couple times, or there was one time I traveled home for Thanksgiving, I think.
Right.
On Thanksgiving. Well, I travel on Thanksgiving Day a lot because usually that's when I start my stint on the East Coast, for the holidays. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember if I've traveled.
I flew home on Christmas once. It was not pleasant. It was also the same day that James Brown died.
Ooh.
So not only was I able to secure tickets to get home in time for Christmas Day, we're flying on Christmas Day, but I'm standing there with an angry partner, a disappointed partner, and I'm looking at the news. It's like, James Brown has died. Like, cool. What a nice day. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Every time I would fly east from LA, though, it was all of those things. Like I would take, I might take the metro to Union Station and then take the bus from Union Station to LAX, then, take the plane to Boston, take a bus from Boston to Portsmouth. Like it really was almost all of those steps, and all that, which is funny now. The thought of public transportation it terrifies me.
Well, now
it's been over a year, but
yeah. Well, you've done some.
That's true. I've done some. I flew a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Going to Cancun.
Yeah, going to Cancun.
The next tune, which is the B-side, quote unquote.
Actually, so I'll Be Home Christmas Day had a B-side that is not on this album.
Jesus Christ. Did I do any research for this thing?
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, who's hosting this thing?
Horseshit program.
No, I had an instrumental of Joy to the World that, I don't know, almost sounds like Booker T and the MGs or something. Or at least it's kind of what I was going for.
Right.
But I'll Be Home Christmas Day, I tried to write a Christmas song that would be appropriate year-round to enjoy. Mm-hmm. And Joy to the World is that's a Christmas song. So
straight up, yeah.
Yeah.
So before I jump to any other incorrect conclusions, October's almost over.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a standalone with an unreleased B-side?
Nope. Tracks 6 and 7 on this album are an A-side and a B-side, and that is, for the rest of the album, the trend, A-side, B-side.
Okay, well, I'll try not to screw that up. Here's October's almost over.
She looked at me and said, "Are you alive or are you dead? Nothing is real. You're as young as you feel. So many brighter days ahead." Well, I must admit I've changed, and only I can rearrange all the things on my mental shelf, the way I see myself. Life is beautiful and strange. October's almost over. Green leaves, yellow, blue skies,
So that is a. I'm just gonna throw paint here. That's a Billy Joel and Ben Folds collaboration produced by Eric Stewart from 10cc.
I'll take it. Sure.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot of straight up piano singing songs these days.
It's the first and only one I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I didn't really have a clear vision for that song when I started recording it. Just my normal routine is to whatever instrument I wrote the song on, I will, lay out the foundation just against a click track. And that song, I played the piano part to the click track, and then when it was done, I was just like, I guess that was a good take, and that sounds good. I'm just going to leave it at that.
There you go. So. You did like a little, some vocal overdubbery.
Yeah.
And stuff. The next tune, I just want to jump into because it's my personal favorite, and I'll just play the start of Up and Down in Blue, and then I want to talk about it.
Feels like the world is upside down. I'm steady in the small hands of a clown. I just don't know what we're gonna do. Too busy feeling all used up and down.
Okay, there's something I've been meaning to bring up all along. You more than anyone I know, and certainly more so than I do, even though we are cut from the same cloth, musically speaking, you're not afraid to pan things in a very aggressive way, which is great. It sounds great when you do it. And I don't know why it doesn't occur to me to do it more. But that tune, in the best way, lives in the mid-late 60s.
Yeah, sorry. I'll let you complete your thought before.
Well, it's just that I got stuck on my own. I paused in my own brain, but it calls to me like somewhere in like Wichita Lineman. There's a Glenn Campbell vibe in there, but it's also like the Byrds, kind of that country rock vibe in there, and then also that kind of really underrated and overlooked part of the Beatles catalog where they were just immersed in country music. And, the version, of course, that they made was not country music because they're, from Liverpool. And in a way, like, yours is not, like, straight up country music. But to me, it's I don't know. This is the one I always go to. That it's like, if I had to choose, like, one off the album, like, it would be this one.
If you had to strike one from the album, what would it be?
Oh, Jesus. Next. Pass. I'd cut the Beach Boys one because you didn't write it. There you go.
Fair enough. There you go. I like that you actually answered the question.
Yep.
The panning on that, like, so many of the when I started listening to a lot of older music, like the Beatles and all that, it was always the stereo mixes. And on those CDs that we had, it was the stereo mixes that were done in the 60s, or, drums and bass panned hard to one side and vocals panned hard to another side. And I listened to so much music like that it just seemed normal to me. Sure. And so it's kind of the same thing when I finish producing a song like that and start thinking about how the mix should be. It's just like, why not do that? And to start making some of those placement moves while I'm tracking to make sure that it's going to work. But yeah, I mean, I the first time I ever did that was with the Things Were Better record that John Nolan mixed, and we were sitting there, and it was sort of the same thing. It was like I've listened to so many of the stereo mixes of so many of these old recordings, and it's always hard panned drums and stuff like that going on. So we're like, let's just do it. And even though in the 60s when they were mixed like that, it was due to the limitations of, the amount of tracks they had for the recording. It was like all your drums and your bass were on one track, and I guess we're going to put them all over here.
Yeah, and
so-
sometimes that's how you end up with songs where the tambourine is like as loud as the drum kit
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But you also bring in each passing moment of this song, there's like a new little character, and there's so much space for everything. To me, a perfect, like a song can be a great song and be like a kind of a okay or bad recording of the song. The song still stands up.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can also have, great recordings of okay or bad songs, which you'd be like, it sounds good. But I think that sweet spot is when you have a great tune and then just a presentation that's super cool. I think that of all of your influences, and I'm aware of many of them, and I think if anyone who listens to this show would know that what you're into, but your Brit pop is a big one, country music is a big one, soul music is a big one. I would say those are your big three. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Okay. And you have taken all three of those things and distilled them into a new thing. And I think one of the best examples of you doing that is this song.
Oh, thank you.
It was meant as an insult. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'll take back my sarcastic thank you then. Replace it with a fuck
I
you.
was thanking you sarcastically. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love like the picked bass, just the whole vibe.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, also sometimes, like when I haven't written a song in a long time, I'll try to get too clever. And so I think when I wrote this song and a few of the other songs on this side, actually, it was intentionally being like, what if I only use 3 or 4 chords and see where that goes?
Right.
And in a way that keeping the actual like musical aspect of it simple, or the core musical aspect of it simple, opens up more arrangement opportunities.
100%.
I think that came through on that song.
Yeah. And the next one, Like the Tide, which I'm playing right now.
Another year come to an end. So there's no one to begin. Getting old and sure is strange. Trying to erase, not fear change. Another year come to an end.
Any notes on Like the Tide?
No, that was just that was one that I started writing right after the new year a few years ago, which the opening line is another year come to an end. That's just where I was at, and that was just one of those songs that, again, just tried to keep the chord changes simple, and it kind of came together on its own.
Still threw a tricky chord in there, though.
I did throw one tricky chord in there, but just kind of the strummy acoustic guitar led to a little bit more of a Americana country vibe going on with it. So I just followed it, let it go.
Nice. The next tune we'll listen to a clip of, and as you can probably tell, I've been going from the intro to the tune kind of up to the first refrain. And the next one is Yesterday of No Return. Do you want to set this up, or do you want to listen to it and then talk?
Let's listen and talk.
Here we go. Yesterday of No Return.
There is a light in every room, a season where roses are in bloom. Beautiful bride with a loving room. Sound of the clock can strike the noon.
You are such like an articulate bass player.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's still like, it's all like saucy and gravy like it needs to be, but I wonder if that has to do with you being also a razor sharp guitar player. Probably brings a little bit of that picking and fretting ability.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely found more and more these days when I'm recording, poppier tunes, I end up doing the Carol Kay / Paul McCartney play with a pick in palm mute.
Oh yeah, that's
Which is something that I almost...
Is that the Hofner that I was hearing just then?
It was not, actually. That's it's all the precision bass on all of it.
If you had to have one bass, it's got to be the P bass.
Yeah, it's pretty much does it all.
It does all the things. It does all the things, and also well.
Yeah.
That that mix in particular, if you're listening in stereo like I am, the drums and piano are over to your right ear, and then the vocals semi-panned mostly to the right. But this album would be fun to listen to in a room with speakers, but you put one speaker behind you and one in front.
Ooh.
That's what I almost do in my head when I hear these songs with extreme panning. I want to hear it from a different. I don't know why that. This is what it sounds like, kids. If you take drugs when you're younger, and, stay on drugs, don't do school. Yeah, for some reason I just want to rotate my perspective so that my left ear is in the front and my right ear is in the back, and that's how I hear it.
Instead of turning your head, you just want to reposition your ears.
Yeah, reposition my physiology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Couple more tunes on the record. Unless do you have any notes on Yesterday of No Return?
I guess just the primary line in the chorus about yesterday has no return policy. Mm-hmm. I stole that from, I was reading Carole King's biography, Natural Woman. Mm-hmm. And she, at one point, documents this whole, one of her marriages was abusive and hard to get out of. Mm-hmm. And she basically, on the other side of that, starts talking about the hindsight being 20/20 kind of thing. And, mm-hmm. and then she kind of sums it up by saying, but yesterday has no return policy. And I was like, ooh, I like that. So mm-hmm. that was where the song started, was just that line.
I've stolen a couple lines from books. Probably more than a couple. I wrote a tune based on the title of Gene Wilder's autobiography, Kiss Me Like a Stranger.
Nice.
And Dancing a Murderous Tango, I lifted right out of Jeffrey Eugenides' Middlesex.
Ah.
Which in the book it refers to cigarette smoke. Mm-hmm. I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a great source of material. Other people's
other people's stuff.
Passing. Well, no, yeah. But just they're passing. When you read a passage and it just sticks with you, and you kind of chew on it and make it your own. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but I would say that I'm inspired a lot. A lot of my stuff comes from literary references. Do you concur? Do you feel that way?
I do. I mean, I try to keep my ears open a lot for even just in conversation or mm-hmm. watching movies or wherever for little things like that jump out at me. Mm-hmm. And I keep a running page going on my notes app, or I'll just jot down those little ideas. And it's super helpful. When I haven't written for a while and I'm coming in cold, I'll go through that list and just grab something and start working with that idea. And then, usually once I get going, the ideas just come. But it's always great to have, just that list of ideas. And sometimes I'll read things I've written down and just be like, that is so dumb. Why did I think that was a good idea?
It's funny. I was looking for the notes that I'd written down on this album, mm-hmm. and actually I ultimately did not find them because I couldn't find the book. I have a shelf full of books that are filled with mostly terrible ideas. mostly garbage. Although I will thumb through once in a while. I'll see a little gem that I didn't see all the way through. But the next tune, Must Be On My Way.
I woke up at 7:30, got dressed, all my clothes were dirty. Oh, I must go.
I mean, if I were to call it California country, it would just be perfectly on the nose because you're an honorary Californian at this point, and you like country music, and you play in a. Is all this like country music being so forward, kind of coming from the time that you've spent touring in a country band?
I think so. I mean, I think it's. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've always listened to country music, so it's always been kind of on my mind. But having played in a country band a lot now, it's under my fingertips as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it just it kind of comes out sometimes where I don't expect it. Like this song is definitely very intentional. Up and Down in Blue, like where those country riffs come out, it's just there because it happened. Mm-hmm. I think this song is kind of actually exactly what it sounds like, which is when the Monkees' Good Times album came out. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah.
It's great. But I remember I went to Amoeba the day it came out. They had a huge event at Amoeba, and I got the record, and I was so psyched with it. I was like, that's so cool that whatever year it was, 2015, or I guess it was 2016 or 17 when that came out. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, it's cool that they made a Monkees record that sounds exactly like you want a Monkees record to sound like.
They made a Monkees record.
Yeah. So I was just like, I'm going to write a song that sounds like something the Monkees could record if they made another record after this. Mm-hmm. So I just sat down and that came out. And but, the lyrics being about like procrastinating, missing the train, keeping people waiting, and all that stuff. Like,
is it like an alternate song about the last train to Clarksville? It's like,
well,
had,
I kind
had
of
had the train been missed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that all the lyrics are just speaking to my own personal frustrations. I guess like, why is it that I can't do the thing where I leave 10 minutes early? I always wait till it's like, okay, I've got exactly 10 minutes to get there, so I'm going to leave exactly 10 minutes from when I should be there. Mm-hmm. And then, you end up missing a train or whatever. The car won't start, or you forget something and have to go back in. And next thing you know, it's, So yeah, that's lyrically, that is where that came from. It's just, why am I always doing this? Mm-hmm. But musically, it was just like, what would this sound like if Mickey Dolenz was singing it?
Yeah. It's definitely got it's got that good, that good pop country vibe. Mm-hmm. The next song, I would like the listener. These are my words, not Zach's. I'll Be Taking Care of You, which is the album closer, by the way. I'm going to guess like a very sweet song that is sung to. A partner basically saying, you're good. I got you. I'm going to take care of you. Right? Mm-hmm. That's truthfully what it's about.
That is truthfully what it's about.
What I would like the listener to imagine is this song being sung by Tony Soprano to somebody he's going to take care of. Here we go.
Sleep at night, like the tallest tree or the deepest sea. You worry something's not quite right. Like, does he really love you? And all the things that you do. But don't you worry, 'cause I'll be taking care of you.
Totally different.
I'll be taking care of you.
Does he love you? Does he love you like I do? Well, don't worry about it, because I'll be taking care of you. Not your problem for much longer. And this is the one I feel like this song is the curtain call, right? Like all your characters are out on this tune. Beautiful, lush arrangement. You take us for a drive. With some vocalization, arrangement, harmonization situations. And then obviously like a yeah, it's just kind of like back to that that Motown side of you.
Yeah, so this was another song where just that phrase, "Don't you worry, I'll be taking care of you," came into my head, and so I just started thinking about sort of the universal anxieties, and I was like, what do I worry about that I would appreciate somebody just being like, you know what, don't worry about it, I'll take care of you, and so I actually made a list on my own, and then I went online and found a list of like top 10 things people worry about.
Oh, cool.
And tried to incorporate all of them into the song. So there's like, obviously, do I look okay? Does that person really like me? Do I have enough money? Are we still friends? All those things. So yeah, I tried to incorporate at least a section of everything that was on my list, and the where it crossed over onto that other list. And yeah, it was just the vibe just for some reason lent itself to a kind of Philadelphia soul thing or a Motown soul thing. So I went there. Yeah,
and it has. I'm a big fan of. I still listen to albums as a complete thought. I mean, and I know too that like this again, this is an assembly of things that weren't necessarily created with the intention to be in the same disc, but you've still arranged it so that it kind of goes. It presents as a body of work.
Yeah, I tried. I mean, I tried to give it an arc, because each of the singles were sort of paired up intentionally. So the A side and B side,
right,
makes sense together. Even though like "Must Be on My Way" and "I'll Be Taking Care of You" are on the same CD single, that seems like an odd matchup. But I don't know. I found those to work somehow.
Not if maybe in terms of musical style, but not in terms of era.
Yeah.
So it's like you're listening to one. This is like you're listening to a radio station. This album, and that radio station exists in 1971.
Perfect.
Plays the hits of today and the best of yesterday, but not before 1963. It's a very specific radio station that plays a combination of soul, country, and pop, and every combination imaginable within those parameters between the years of 1963 and 1971.
And I think Kelsey Monroe, she's done the album art for all of my albums.
She does a great job.
She does a great job, and she particularly came through on this record. I think I can't stop looking at the cover. And she did it really quick. It was one of those things where when I decided to release an album, it was just like, I think I'm going to release an album. And so I, picked the songs and put them in the order. And it was just like set a release date that was maybe 5 weeks away from when I made that decision. And Kelsey she turned the cover out around really quickly. And it all just kind of came together. But
it's inspired.
Yeah. I'm very happy with it, and especially happy to hold it in my hand as a 12-inch vinyl LP.
Glad you said vinyl LP. Where can people buy this?
So it is available at Bull Moose stores, at bullmoose.com. And other than that, it is on my Bandcamp page, which is just ZachJonesTunes.bandcamp.com.
TUNES.
That's right.
Like
musical
cartoons.
tunes, not cartoons.
Yes.
And
Tunes.
which actually Looney Tunes is spelled that way too, which I never.
Looney Tunes is spelled TUNES, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But they should be 2 O's, right?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's actually specifically why I thought to specify because of Warner Brothers just confusing the room.
Hopefully when shows happen again, I'll have them at shows. But I did a smaller pressing of both the CD and LP than any of my other albums. So, if all goes according to plan, they will go quickly, and I won't have them for very long. So get it while you can.
So Bandcamp, Zach Jones Tunes, also bullmoose.com. Right?
That's correct.
You can stream it on all the streamies.
All of the streamies. Yeah.
And can you stream it on any of the unusual streams? Are you streamable on like sound? Are you a SoundCloud person?
Yes and no. I don't. I only use SoundCloud to usually just to create a playlist to share music with other people if it's a gig or something. I don't know. Or if it's like I haven't released it yet, I'll do a private playlist just so I can send it to people to check out. But I do have a public SoundCloud page, but there's not a ton of stuff on it. But that's also Zach Jones Tunes. If you were to look for
That's TEWNS.
That's right.
Tunes.
I use a different spelling of tunes for every single one.
Just
so
to keep it easy.
the first three are pretty guessable. After that, you got to get creative.
Yep. Silent 9 thrown in there. Well, hey, congratulations on your release, bud.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on as a guest today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I'm glad to be able to. I don't know. I like making the show and making goofball shows and talking about meaningful things as well. But it's also cool that you make jams and put out music that I get to listen to.
Thanks.
And enjoy as though you were somebody I didn't know. I enjoy your music on the same level that I enjoy other people's music. And I've got a handful of friends for whom that is true. Yes, I know you, but also if I just heard it in the world, I'd be like, I like that guy. And I'd probably think, I bet that guy and I will get along. Or gal, whoever it was. So, yeah, another great one, dude.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And now, the end of the show.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the spirits we bring into the state of Maine at mainspirits.com and what to do with them by downloading their app for your smartphone or visit them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration provided by State Theater Portland. Learn more at statetheaterportland.com and Sun Tiki Studios. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.